Let's talk about that mean Mexican, Tango Mike.
Yeah.
So he's in Vietnam, police special forces selection. He's assigned to an ODA. He's on a team, goes back to Vietnam, and on that particular day, an incident had occurred before that, right? Where they were on a line,
McGuire rig.
wire
Yes.
line, a spy line, right?
Yeah.
And what
Yes.
happened?
So when he was on that particular mission, the McGuire rig, it's two nylon ropes. And so the ropes, it was bringing up my dad and another man. And as they were bringing them up with the helicopter, the ropes got tangled. And so they started to twist. And as they were twisting, they started to burn. So they were, the ropes were about to let loose of my father and the guy who was next to him. So Leroy Wright hoisted himself out of the helicopter and risked his life to untangle the ropes and was
Wow.
basically, yeah, more than half of his body was hanging out of the helicopter to do this. And so, had Leroy Wright not done that, my father would have dropped to his death. And so, obviously, my dad had that in the back of his mind when the May 2nd mission came, which was on May 2nd, 1968. My dad was not supposed to be on that mission, but he heard a distress call. My dad was attending a church service, and that's one thing about my dad. He was a devout Catholic and never missed church, and so it was just appropriate and most fitting that that's what he was attending in the jungles of Vietnam. So he was attending a church service, and he overheard on the radio a distress call and saying, "Get us out of here. We need help." He went over to the radio man and asked what team was that was out there, and the guy said, he couldn't tell at the time who it was, but he did mention, "I think it's that man who saved your life, Leroy Wright. The other day, it's his team." And so
Wow.
without hesitation, my dad didn't even think twice, didn't think about the wife that he had at home, the parents, his adopted parents, the family, the child that he also had, which was my older sister. He put that aside and he decided, I'm going to go and try to help him. And so he grabbed the closest thing to him which was a medic bag, and all he had was his Bowie knife. And so he jumped aboard that helicopter. He was told not to get on, and they said, "No, we can't take you. You're not supposed to be on this mission. We have people who, who are going to be doing this on this day."
Yeah.
And my dad said, "No, get me there." So,
So let me go take you back a little bit. So he wasn't even supposed to be on. Now the rumor was he part of the Mac VSOG type units that were
yes,
out in northern Vietnam
yes,
that that didn't exist?
right.
He was
Yeah, it
part
was
of it. It was
all yes, it was all
very
undercover, top
clandestine, very
secret,
top secret. Yeah. Okay. So
top secret.
they were there doing their thing. He hears over the radio. There's a problem, but then he realizes that Leroy was there. Is that correct?
Right. He realized that Leroy was the team leader of that mission. And
Got it.
so he knew that Leroy had some top secret, identification papers material on him.
Yeah.
And he knew that if something's going on with Leroy, I got to save his life most importantly, but I also have to get those documents.
So he was loyal to Leroy because Leroy had saved his life beforehand.
Very loyal, very
So he
loyal.
goes, when you read the citation, they only have so many words to put in these things, right? Because the
I
president
know.
has to read in front of a bunch of people. But I mean, this is great. The citation's great. Dude, they got me all misty eyed at the end, you know what I mean? But the thing is this,
Yes.
man, when you watch the stories, when you read the stories, what he did is what he did going without a rifle, he took a
Exactly.
knife.
Without machinery, machine guns.
He took a knife and an aid bag because a friend needed help in somewhere in northern Vietnam. That's
Right,
incredible.
and let me point out, my dad is he was a huge proponent of never look at one's skin,
Yeah,
and he said the only colors you need to be concerned about are red, white, and blue. And let
that
me point out that Leroy Wright was an African American. And so
okay.
if that doesn't show you what the love of brotherhood is
Oh,
amongst
yeah.
these men, then, it didn't matter the color of their skin. My dad was going to save anybody's life, and it just so happened that, Leroy happened to be on that team.
Let me tell you, in the military, we're
You
all
don't look
green.
at that here.
We're all
Exactly.
we're all soldiers, you know?
You
You're
get
absolutely
it.
right.
Exactly.